People have faith in the man. They don't even know what the Bible talks about. Most Christians don't even know what the Bible talks about. All they know is that Osofo say, Minye say, Pastor says I should do this.
When we forgive, you people expect us to continue the relationship. Snakes, snakes, they don't change. They shed off their skins. They become more nicer. They become more canny. They become more beautiful. No, when you forgive people, it doesn't mean you should continue the relationship. You don't leave it void anyway.
You know, we are discussing emotions. As humans, we always bring in feelings and emotions, and we always let our emotions take the very part of us without being truthful to whatever we are trying to communicate.
God works in different ways. You even going to the hospital for them to give you paracetamol to take is also a sign of God's provision for you. Because if the person who discovered paracetamol did not discover it,
thank you.
What would you have done?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GOB3 show on Carrie's podcast. So the GOB3 means God over broken emotions. This podcast is where God's healing power restores shattered emotions. I am Ebenezer Akungezi, and in today's episode, we will embark on a faith-filled journey exploring the transformative love of God over our broken emotions. With me on today's show, it's
Mrs. Selina Tete. I'm an entrepreneur and a fashion designer.
Dennis Mensah Kota. I'm a teacher and also a counselor as well.
Lillian Akanyele. I'm an entrepreneur and a musician.
In today's episode, we will be exploring faith or belief in emotional management. So starting with you, Madam Selina, what is your take on belief and faith in regards to emotional management?
First of all, I would like to define or give my basic understanding of what belief is. Beliefs are just like habits or traits or things that you yourself, personally, you use to govern your life. It could be God, it could be anything that you hold on to that contributes to your attitudes, your habits. So that is with belief. But with faith, I'll go to the definition from the Bible, that it is the evidence of things hoped for, yet not seen. So basically, faith is more like Lillian will buy me a car in 2024.
Mm-hmm. Receive it.
Amen. I have that faith. Even though I've not seen the car yet, I'm hoping it will be a Chrysler. So Lillian is going to give me Chrysler in 2025. That is faith, basically. And when it comes to the emotions are feelings, what we feel.
So based on the two definitions you gave, kindly give us a personal testimony that you think you've encountered or experienced in regards to your faith and belief.
Or emotions.
Emotions, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll take this one that happened like 7 years ago, 3 days after my wedding. A very close sister. She's a friend though, but I think we had grown into being sisters. And 3 days after my wedding, I was sitting with my husband. We're counting our losses and our gains. And then...
Were there losses?
No, ask me again, were there? Who asked us? Nobody asked us to get married anyway. So whilst we were sitting there, his phone just beeped. And then I saw him pick it up. He was looking on the phone. Then he did this. And when I read it, it was a message from that sister of mine that tested... please, I need 400 cedis to sort my sister's school fees out, but don't tell your wife. I was like, seriously? Wow. I was shocked because I wasn't expecting that from her. I expected her to ask me directly. because we were more than friends.
Yeah.
So before you continue, what was her relationship with your husband? How
She
was it
has
like?
no relationship with my husband. She
So
knew,
how-
it's me she knows. She doesn't know my husband. She only met my husband when we were preparing to get married, and she was part of my team.
Okay, so probably she got your husband's contact during that time.
Yes, she did.
All right.
She did. They could go out to do shoppings. They were friends, literally. Like, we
Okay,
were
and you
all friends.
trusted your friend that much?
Well, if it was now, maybe there would have not been that trust. But way back, sometimes we could be naive and stupid. So you just give things out like that. But now, dear, not even a cockroach near my husband. I will break your head.
So the relationship started as you were preparing to get married?
Yes.
Okay. But then it means that if, from what you are saying, if they were going shopping and doing all that, it meant that they had, you could say that some friendship sort of formed
Yes.
within that period.
Yes.
Within that period, yeah.
Yeah, some friendships, a lot went on then. We would go out, go to beaches. We were just, she was just part of us. Like, if you see me and my husband, she's there. So we were all rolling every day. Then that happened. And me, what happened was not a problem for me. The problem was the impact it was going to make on my husband and my marriage. Because if she was able to tell him not to tell me, exactly 3 days after my wedding, I got hurt. This is where the emotion comes in. I got hurt, but by she asking him money and telling him not to tell me. It is not about the money. It's about, don't tell your wife.
Why shouldn't he tell the wife?
That's so. What
Could
is
she
the
have an
motive?
intention? Yes.
That was what really hurt me. I was really hurt, but I didn't react. I didn't ask her. I wanted to keep that privacy between she and my husband. So after some time, then during those times, my mother also passed away, and she was there. She was the only friend who could.
Did you ever confront her? Like,
I didn't.
no,
I
think,
didn't.
I think you should have.
No, initially I didn't.
Okay.
So after 8 to 9 months later, I sent her a text message. Oh, wow. I saw you send this message to my husband. Seriously, I was surprised it came from you. And trust me, that was the mistake I made.
What was her response?
My goodness. There and then she came to my house. She came and said sorry. So me, I just let go. I think that the same day she left, I even bought some shoes and sent to her. And then she called me. How much is the shoe? I asked her, do we have that kind of deal? You and I, you buy for me, I buy for you. So why ask me? Not knowing she took offense. It took me 5 years to be able to deal with that particular thing. Wow. It keeps coming. It keeps coming. It added enemies. It added other friends who became enemies. I was so hurt because she was my friend. I could fall on her anytime. When my mom passed away, there were shoulders I cried on. They stood with me. I missed all those things. And then because of that, I asked, why did you do that? I attracted enemies like sugar would just attract ants. I attracted a lot of enemies,
So
a lot. Friends who became enemies.
In those moments, what was your husband's reactions? And
His reaction was, men don't take certain things serious. Unlike us. I don't know
Are you
how.
sure?
Oh yeah, I don't know how God did us. Like, he didn't really see any offense
it wasn't
in it.
much of a big deal
Oh
for
no,
him.
it's not a big deal to him. It's not. It was not a big deal to him because he thought she was shy. But that day in my hotel room, she was there when somebody gifted me 1,000 cedis. She was the one who was carrying my bags. So she could have asked me.
But okay, you finish.
She could have asked me. And those times when she goes to shopping with the crew, like the wedding crew, and they come back, she will come and show me, we bought this, we bought that. And then she will say that she paid for it. Meanwhile, I know my husband will go out with my friends and make them pay for what they buy. And a lot of emotions gathered, a lot of things happened. It became an issue between me and my husband at a point.
Wow.
Yes. It took a lot from me. I was so hurt. I said it took me 5 good years. Imagine 7 years of getting married and 5 years to deal with this particular thing.
Yeah.
At a point, I became mad. Like I was hurt. Even now that I'm talking about it,
Yeah,
it
so-
reminds me of all that I had to go through. It was so deadly. And you know, one interesting thing about it, people outside, the other people don't think it's necessary to react over those things. You know, I went to that friend's mother after 3 years to talk to her about the issue. You know what she told me? I should have waited for me to see what would have happened between my husband and that friend before I reacted. I said, really? Was that what they were thinking of?
Wow.
I didn't see my husband having anything to do with that friend of mine. I didn't even think of that angle. My angle was, what were you teaching my husband 3 days after my marriage? Secrets from me, his wife, your friend. So what were you implying? Should I come to you and come and complain that my husband had like high things from me? And then you go back to say, even your friend said, I should say this, like, I'll keep this. I was really hurt. It was damaging.
Okay.
It was really damaging.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Dennis,
Yeah.
do you have any personal testimonies?
Okay, so I think before I even get there, the an interesting thing from what she was saying is, I think, is how long she kept the issue. I mean, even before she confronted her friend.
Yeah.
And then even before, like she says, she has still not gotten over it.
Yes.
Even now, she's relapsing, which is something that's very
Because I was
serious.
expecting her to confront her friend immediately.
Yeah, well, it depends people and
How they handle
situations.
situations.
So probably she had chosen
To give it more time.
to give it more time, or like she was saying, she was expecting her husband to also probably react in a certain way, and she was not getting that.
It was not only about that. It was just about maybe losing that friend or the reaction that will come from it.
So that also comes in.
Yeah.
So well, before I'm sure we'll look at that into detail as we go along. Personally, I think if there's anything I'll think about in terms of emotions is anger, because I think growing up I had a very bad temper because of where I grew up and other things, and I think my temperament also easily gets angry. So I think one incident that I can remember is I think in school GSS I had a friend who was one of my female friends was harassing me. She was annoying me. Don't let your mind go far. She was.
My
she
mind
was
was really there.
No.
Yes.
Come
My
back.
mind was really there.
She was. You know those things where people pester you in the class and stuff. So I was having issue with one of my friends, who was very close to her, and she had taken the fight like Wajib Tokwana.
Oh, okay.
And she was harassing me. So I got angry with her, and then I chased her, and our classroom was not that big, so she was running towards the wall. And because I couldn't catch up with her, I just threw my hand and I hit her. So she bumped into the wall. And then her face hit the wall.
Oh.
So I got reported to the headmaster. But fortunately for me, because I was a good boy, I was not punished. But I think what that led me to was to be able to check my emotions, because that incident, because she was a good friend to me actually, even after that we still became friends. But I realized that if I didn't check my anger, it could have been worse, because she could have hit her face against the wall, and then other bad things would have happened to her. So growing after that, there was some bit of caution in terms of how to react to situations, even though I was not successful at the time. But gradually you build competence in handling it. And then as I also took my religion seriously, you also hear things about making sure you are in check.
Sure.
Don't let anger consume you, and the dangers of all that. So with time, I would say that I have built some sort of control over some of the emotions. Not perfect anyway. There are days that you go off and stuff like that.
It's
but
normal.
With regards to the point you just made, have feelings replaced our faith as individuals?
Not necessarily. I mean, the emotions we have are part of us. I mean, they They are natural things that we have. I mean, the range of emotions, like both the positive and negative ones, they form our being. They are natural reactions. When you read the Bible, you even see God getting angry at certain times and stuff like that. So they are with us. I mean, they are responses to situations. So the key thing is you knowing how to navigate the emotions when they happen, especially the negative ones, because your inability to regulate them is what can lead to a lot of issues, like our sisters, for example. That disappointment, if you look at it, had lasted a very long time. But if she had handled it a bit differently, I'm sure she would have gotten relief earlier on. So it is how we view it. They are with us, all right. I'm yet to see. I know sometimes we say that there are some people, they don't get angry and stuff like that. I don't believe that. I believe sometimes they no, it's not. You see, if you see you don't feel if you don't feel the emotion, there's a problem. But if you feel it and you control it, that's another dynamic.
Some people are immune to it.
But if you say that you don't get angry at all, or you don't get upset,
So
it's a bit challenging for
So
me.
does our anger controls us, or takes the very best part of us as humans?
It does sometimes.
It does. I mean, uncontrolled anger can lead to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like my case, for example, I was not controlling my anger, so I could have hurt her and stuff like that. There are instances where people not controlling their emotions have led them to do things. People's relationship have ended because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at her
Control.
scenario, for example, if she had gotten angry at the husband, I'm sure somebody would have said that, so you were going out with this girl, and
You have a
today,
relationship with her.
and then it's today that you are come to show me this one. You would have forgotten out of
But
hand.
that didn't happen. It's you know, the trust was built over the years, and if he had kept it
From
from
you.
me that particular day,
Yeah.
then it would have been bad. But for him to even show it to me there and then, you know, it's an applause.
Oh yeah, that's you. But some people, even you show it to them, and they are like, their mind will not be.
Those people
settled.
have trust issues.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if the person is able to show you the message at the time, you didn't find out by yourself.
Yes.
At least that should even help you build a certain level of trust for your husband. Because this is not really, this is marriage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So, yes. And it's just 3 days after marriage. If your friend, I don't know what I would have done if I was in your shoes, actually.
Well,
Because I can be crazy.
you are not crazier than me. I can be very crazy, extreme, but you know, when the relationship is different, like you and I may react to a situation with you with anger, but not with another person, because of a relationship that you have built over the years. So I think at that time, that's why I said, if I had known certain things that I know now, if I had known them then, oh come on, it would have been nasty. I could have gone like gaga, like hard. Yes, because I really felt pain. It kept going and coming. 1 year after that incident, on our wedding anniversary, I called all the crews and I thanked them just to make them feel good, and I just want to be grateful. You know, the last time I called that person, she asked me, how many times will I call her to say thank you? And I said, no, I just want you to know that I appreciated everything you did. Because they sacrificed a lot just to make our wedding days nice.
A nice one.
She traveled with me. She took me to places where I could get things easily. That was how much it is. And you know that person.
Okay, let's not go there.
Let's not go there.
At the end of the day,
Let's not go there.
no, if you know, it will worry you.
Yeah, I want to.
But I think I agree with Dennis that you kept it for too long, yes. Because if you don't, some of these issues, if you don't handle them, you are getting hurt, and the other person is actually
that's the interesting aspect
so
of emotions.
Yeah, and then also concerning people who don't get angry, I don't think there are people who don't get angry, because let me use my husband as an example. People are like, oh, your husband is a very calm person, and you know they see me as the as a troublesome one.
You know,
Yes.
we all go
Boom,
through that.
fool.
You get it. I've personally said that about her husband. And for me, myself, I think people also see me to be very rough and all that. But, our opposite is very calm. Like the opposite or the other side of us.
Exactly.
So I think I can relate
And
to
I
what
think
Lillian is
that
saying.
people who don't show their anger, they bottle it up. And then one day when they explode, it's bad. And me, I think that side is even bad because for some of us, we would tell you there and then that this is what you did that I didn't like.
Yeah.
But those people keep it in them. They keep it and
And
keep
the
it.
day they
And then one day,
explode,
they destroy things.
Sure.
I know people who can get angry and then pull down a whole television. Or, because you say, oh, nipa ready and nibu ntemo. But when they get angry. It's bad. So I believe that, as he said, we should rather know how to manage our anger, so not to destroy things. So when you learn how to manage the anger, you get angry. We are humans. I mean, it's part of us. You can't say that media me Ubunfu saying, and here you are a pretender. Because even God got angry, went into the temple, and scattered things.
You, when your pastor gets angry, you get offended. No, right? We always do get offended that pastor overreacted. We forget that aspect of him.
He's a man before
God. Being God.
Yeah.
And
before working for
concerning
God.
how I have learned. I'm a very emotional person, and then I realize that when I get angry, I say things and then I regret.
That one is true.
I say a lot.
True.
In fact, when I get angry,
we've had
when I get
differences.
angry, my mouth has no break.
No, can I drink rough?
I say everything. And then recently something happened and then I said things. I think I can even say that I cursed. I cursed someone I'm not supposed to. Because whatever happens to the person will indirectly affect me. And then later I sat down and I was like, no. I had to pray. I had to pray to break whatever I said. I don't even know whether the prayer has worked or not, but we are talking about faith. So, I mean, I applied faith and then I'm hoping that whatever I said won't happen. So I believe that, and for anger, we have to manage it. Anyways, you don't explode just like that.
Okay, so Lillian, I believe that is a very perfect testimony you've shared in trying to address what we've been discussing so far. So starting from you, I think I want to ask, what does your faith or belief influence? What influence that your faith or belief have personally on you?
Well, I've been influenced by what I believe in, which is the faith that I have. There are times that you go through things, there are times that things happen to you and you feel like this is the end of it, that there's not going to be any way out. But our Bible teaches us not to give up, never to give up. That even when you think that all is over, that's when God shows up. So I have learned, I wouldn't say I have mastered my faith, but I have gotten to the point where no matter how tough it is, I know that God will come through.
Yeah. And that's
have you ever been like shattered or like waved, like been scared?
I have.
Because personally, I think there was this time in my life I was traveling, and I think I tried using another route, a shortcut, not the normal route, and I drove for miles. I wasn't getting to where I was going, and in front of me there was nothing behind. I can't go back as well. And trust,
you had used the shorter route.
The shorter route, and trust me, I was in a state of fear at that point, because there were no houses or even fueling stations or like place I could even seek asylum if something happens. So I think as individuals, sometimes we get to a place where you do be like we become afraid trying to build or stand on that faith or belief. So I don't know if you've ever experienced.
I have been there. I have been there, but I don't know. There is something that always gives me the belief that it won't end bad. But sometimes it's just few hours to you being disgraced.
Yeah.
And then something just happens. Yeah. And whatever you thought was going to happen to you doesn't happen to you. And it's faith. Or sometimes you don't even have the faith that you go, you'll be able to overcome that problem. But somehow, God takes you through it. You don't die. Since there is life, there is hope.
Okay. So, Mr. Dennis, how has your emotions, your faith or belief impacted you, have influenced you on your emotions as an individual?
Yeah, I think, like I said, so aside anger and other things, sometimes you get scared, sometimes you get frustrated, you get sad, and you get lonely, and stuff like that. One of the things that my faith and belief system have done for me is that reassurance that no matter what happens, the outcome is going to be positive. So you have God by your side, you are going to be okay. And then there's that, the Bible says that all things work together for good for those who are with God. So once you have the assurance that you are with God, you know that whatever it is, you are going to come out okay. Of course, for some emotions, it's easy for those things. You can be lonely and have that sort of reassurance and all that. But for some of them, like going back to the anger one, for example, it's a bit difficult because sometimes you might not remember quickly that the Bible tells you to be slow to anger. You forget before you do whatever you are doing before you remember. Before you remember, or you remember because you know this one, you have to deal with the person and finish dealing with them before. But yeah, those things are there. But I think what happens is the more you practice, the better you get at it. So if you constantly keep reminding yourself, that's why it's also good to keep reading your Bible, making sure you are listening to the word of God from speakers and all that, because the continuous reminder about them also helps you control yourself. So if it is a situation where you are very sad, we all get sad day in and day out based on events and stuff like that. Things might not go your way. You might be disappointed by someone that you trusted. Something that you hoped in might not have come to you and stuff like that. And that practice of always having a positive mindset about it, even though it's a low moment or stuff like that, sort of gradually builds you up such that when you hit the wall later on, you are not bothered. If you look at even old people, you realize that when certain things happen to you, they sometimes seem unbothered. They seem unbothered. It's like you are coming. For somebody who has lost like 5 children before, that might seem extreme, but I'm sure people have gone through that.
Yes.
If you just lost one child and even maybe the child didn't even grow, like you didn't give birth, it was maybe the first 2 months and you lost the child. You can't compare that to somebody who lost the child.
Then 9 months
after 2 days after they gave birth and the child died, or somebody whose child died 2 months after, or somebody whose child even grew up to 5 years and the child died. All those experiences are different, and in each of them, as you build reliance on your faith, you build reliance on your belief system, you become better at managing your emotions. That's why somebody who's older might seem unfazed by what is happening to you, because they know that it is not the end of the world. You will definitely overcome. With time, you will heal. With time, you'll be okay. So what I've learned over the years is that, it might be the first time I'm experiencing that, but I know that at the end of the day, it's going to end well for me. So those are the principles that, based on my faith.
Before I come to Selene, I think this goes to all of us. Has there been, as Christians, and this also being a Christian podcast, has there been a day whereby we felt that we've been neglected or dejected by God, that we wish, Charlie, Yankofa baby, like
upon the work of foul.
Really?
Bring it to the realities of life.
Yes.
Just let's be real.
So share your experience.
Real. Even if not my experience, let's be real. All of us here, we might have gone through all that, but very rejected, just because of a hairdo, just because of maybe a common anklet I've put in on. Me, I'm a designer. You know, I started wearing anklet way back when I was in Central. Yeah. And the very day I got into the church wearing it on my feet, I had the big men and women coming to me, calling me back door, me to my imagine, say me yida. I was always in it. And one woman called me and asked me why I put it on. I said, I'm a fashion designer. I bead. And when I traveled out, I saw people wearing it. It's not a crime. Yeah. So I felt it will beautify my legs, so I wear it. I don't have any perception behind it. So, oh, when you say, if you are wearing that thing, or Bonsam will marry you, and I said, no, it's not true. I'm not going to accept it. So
that is what they believe.
Well, that is what they believed. Yeah. But, you know, at that time, yes, that time, nobody comes close to me in church. When I go and I'm sitting somewhere, nobody sits by me. I could have 3 seats empty.
Oh, you don't mean it?
Yes,
no, so I could because of the anklet?
Yes, I could place my bag and
maybe
other
it could
things.
Be something else.
No, it's not. It's not. We built emotions. We built being defensive because of some of those things. People attack your personality without knowing certain things.
Without knowing your belief system.
No, even you. That's why I said, "Uko nyankupo honopo, uko far away." They took me to Reverend's office. Fortunately, that day he was in a meeting, so we couldn't address whatever it was. And then when I came down, one woman said, "Okay, Sebe, yeah, Mami Nshemba, sorry. If I'm home or I'm in town, I can put it on." I responded that I can't live two-sided lives. I chose this and I'm going for it.
Okay, so let's not go very deep into specifics, so that names and institutions, organizations. But personally, I want to find out, did it ever influence your faith in Christ?
It did. At a point, it affected my personality. I felt rejected. I felt like I was not loved because of who I just felt like I can be. And those times, it was very difficult. I could come to church during worship. I could cry like I had issues, but it was just those basic things. I couldn't, if I pray, I felt like God was not listening to me. And I said, "No, so dream say, okay,
so I can say that it rather drew you
backwards.
It didn't even take you closer.
It didn't take me
So it didn't build your faith in any way?
It didn't. It was after some time I met a man of God's wife in a church, and I saw her in it, and I felt, oh, come on. Myself, I feel do this thing.
Lillian, kindly share your experience also on this same.
Well, I remember when I was young, I started wearing trousers before my elder sisters. You know,
I saw very early on you, it's wearing heels at a very younger.
Wearing heels, you know. As for the wearing of heels, my whole family, we all love wearing heels. She could be in a very long, she was very young, and so we experienced that. My big sisters were prefe. So when we were growing up, I think when I finished GSS, I had some friends, and then we went to the market, and then we bought those times we call it hold my thighs and
lift my legs.
Lift my legs.
The bell trousers.
It was nice, and then I brought it home, and then I wore it. Then my big sister took the trousers and tore it. In fact, I was like, "What are you doing? Hey, you're a bad girl. Why are you wearing trousers?" What? In fact, I was like, so it got to a point that I felt like I was the worst in my family. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I am very outspoken. Mm-hmm. I easily mingle with people. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I was young at the time, and then I needed someone to rather help me, guide me, so I don't go astray. But they rather took it. You know, Africans and how we handle things. So I became a Americano. Maybe a swording rebellion. Yeah, I became very rebellious. So then it got to a time I realized that my sister started wearing trousers. And I was like,
She has joined you, right?
She has joined me. So I actually stopped wearing trousers. And so it taught me that you can't always listen to what people say. I learned to know the Bible for myself, to build my faith in the Bible, to build my beliefs in the Bible, and not about what people say or what people do. Because, in fact, when my sister, the one who tore my trousers, when she started wearing the trousers, oh my goodness. The ones she was wearing.
She was wearing it better than you.
So when it comes to how things have built my faith personally, I've been through a lot. We've all been through things. But I remember there was a time that my mom got sick. She was bedridden for a very long time. And then I remember I prayed one prayer one day that, God, it's either you heal her or you take her life. I've not told my family. I've not told my family about this thing. And then I think after 3 days, I lost her. And it was at that time that I said, okay, God listens to prayers.
Yeah.
It built my faith. Because imagine that there were things I had prayed for before that didn't come to pass. I didn't see God as a wicked God. No, at that time, I realized that God has even done something good for my family. Because we were spending money and she wasn't getting better. She was bedridden for over 3 years, I think 5 years or so. And then I told God that it's either you heal her or you take her life. And then after 3 days, she was gone.
So ironically, your faith was built through God answering your prayers.
Yes.
In that you lost your mom.
Yes.
Even though it was very painful, it had an influence on your faith and beliefs and all that.
Painful. In fact, at the time I was asking myself so, because I was young. I mean, who would take care of me? Who would do this for me? There were so many things I didn't even think I could do. But I mean, God has been good. God has been good. There were so many. I was young. A lady, when you're a lady and you are growing up, you need your mother. People always said, Oba hiani mame, bema hiani papa. You need your mother to guide you through certain things. But God has been good. It's really strengthened my faith. It did.
There is this thing I don't want to forget about getting through with God during the time of emotions. I think the help of God has always been there. The rest, most of it is up to us. Yeah. You are in control of everything that happens around you. Sometimes you lose it, but you learn through it and you pick from there. Especially when it comes to dealing with emotions or what people might have taken you through in life. You need to be able to take control over whatever situation it is.
Yeah.
You just can't give up, knowing that you are a child of God and you trust God. In those difficult moments, that is when you yourself need to be very strong. I learned some things over the years. I realized that after I had control over certain things, I was able to pull through. Some people are very emotional. It's very difficult for them to get over maybe somebody addressing them, excuse me to say, you are a fool in the midst of people. It leaves you with trauma. It makes you think, what are the other people thinking? Why should you say this in front of this person? Maybe in front of Osofu Dennis or in front of Eben. Why should maybe it's a prophecy? It's a prophecy.
Please take your time.
Please go to the Bible. Yeah, you need to take control over it. Every situation that you get yourself into or you find yourself in, you accept the situation.
Yeah.
Most of the time we are in the state of denial. We don't want to agree, say, me, I'm a Christian, this thing shouldn't happen to me.
No.
If it doesn't happen to you, who should it happen to? Yeah. Why? Yeah. So you just have to make sure that you accept it. When you accept it, it is easy to deal with it. That is when you can go to people you think can help you, like your fortress, somebody aside from God, a counselor, a psychologist. Let's not do away with all those people because they are there to help you. It's not easy in our days now. It's very difficult. When it gets to emotions, some of us, we are like, we've been through enough, so now we are used to the system.
Why I can't pay?
So the younger ones come in, our little sisters and our brothers, we have become the shatters of our time because of, I'm using that word because it's for hardcore people. We are not hardcores, but we've learned to accept things. Let's accept that problems are supposed to happen, and then you solve them, you go to another stage of life. Don't just be sitting down because let me use the basic one as a broken heart. Being in a relationship and then the person disappoints you, or even somebody promises you money. Let's not be expecting things from people. Expectation comes with a lot of disappointments. If I don't expect food from somebody who is not supposed to, don't expect me. Somebody called me, Charlie, I need money. Make sure you send it to me by noon. Like, do you even know where I am? You don't care about my situation. You are being selfish. You are thinking about you getting. So if I should disappoint somebody like that, you may not know what is behind. Don't get disappointed. Don't throw people off just like that. Aside I've always said, the things that are happening in life are events. They have been there. Let's just address issues as they are. Take control over the issue. Accept it. Deal with it. Baby, I'll bet to me I could do no ye could do neja dia kanimanyami. Don't force things. Don't say and there I have to make sure today it is done. When I was going to travel, when I went to the passport office, my my passport was going to expire if I should go. I went there and I asked for who is in charge and they showed me. When I got there, the man said, my sister, we don't even have the sheets to even print it out. And I'm saying, hey, and then we buy a photocopy. Because you have to help me. He said, then you should go and pray. I left my passport with him. 2 days later, he called me to come for a new passport. I left it. I didn't go with my passport. I told him, one should show mommy as a business deal where I can't lose it. And I gave up. I was saying, wait dear, if I had lost that contract that particular time, it would have been a huge blow. I'm sure by now, and can recover, it would have been bad. But I left it with him, and I just left. I told God, I just left. I trusted. I took control. I went to the office. Mati, I even called one of our brothers to help, and he also told me, the sheets to even print is not there. But I went, left it. I didn't pay a dime. That is the interesting aspect of the whole thing. I didn't pay anything. I just went. He called me, my sister, your passport is ready. I said, really? I went there, took it, and the old one. When I was leaving the office, Charlie, this one they sent me to offering. So I called a friend pastor, and then I said, God, I'll do this one. Maybe that particular time is because of that pastor or that person that I gave that offering to. That is why God did that miracle for me. Because the person might have needed that money at that particular time. When I traveled and I came back, he said, Sally, once any Miss Askanis Adana, and can me feel a bit to me. It was not, and yes, but it helps. So every situation is there to help you get somewhere. Let's be able to control emotions when they come. Take your time. It doesn't go in a day. It takes time. It takes days, sometimes months, sometimes years. Like my experience, 7 years now, I'm still dealing with it.
You have to let it go.
I have.
No,
I have. I seriously have. I
so
did.
What's your relationship like?
It's not good.
So that's where I would say that you are still.
You see one thing with us. When we forgive, you people expect us to continue the relationship. Snakes, snakes, they don't change. They shed off their skins. They become more nicer. They become more canny. They become more beautiful. No, when you forgive people, it doesn't mean you should continue the relationship. Yeah, you don't leave it void anyway. But when we meet, hello, hi, we do it. But it can't be like it used to be.
No, I think what I'm trying to say is, you see, what happened to you happened a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And even you said when you're talking about it now, you were still having if you like, relapse, or
Yes.
the emotions were still coming?
It's still coming because of how the person was to me.
Yes.
It
But
happens
then,
in
you
homes,
see,
marriages,
it
everywhere.
is. But you also need to heal from.
I have. Come on, I have.
You
I'm
need to
not
heal
really
from
good
the.
with that.
You need to heal from the experience.
I have.
And no, the way you're talking about it, I think you still need some talking to.
No, it's
or you
a
need some-
relevant issue that needs to be addressed.
Oh, no.
For once, this is the first
time
time
you've spoken about it.
I'm talking about it publicly.
Okay, but when you
Seriously.
remember, how do you feel?
I don't feel anything
You
anymore.
don't feel any emotion.
It's just that it pains me I lost her as a friend.
Okay.
That is the only thing.
Yeah,
Aside
but then
that,
good. That's if you believe that, or if you feel that you have over the issue, because the thing there is that, which one of the things is that we brood over issues, or we brood over emotions, and the person has hurt you. Yes, you can take. Nobody is saying that you necessarily have to be just as you people, because sometimes for your own sake and certain things, you have to take certain decisions and give people space. That is fine. But then also, if the emotion is still lingering,
the emotion is not.
if it's still lingering,
It's not
then
lingering.
there's
It means that there is
a
still
problem.
work to do.
And that
No.
is where you need help.
No,
to
I
be
don't
able
need help.
to
Come on. I've
overcome
dealt
it.
with this thing. I have. The reason why, you see, interestingly, it has come up again. But this time, it came up because I want to encourage somebody. Somebody may be going through similar
situation.
It's just to encourage someone. It's not to brood on their heads. No, it's far behind me. I have really, really dealt with it. I told you, I said that it kept coming. It became an issue in my home, in my marriage. It kept coming. At a point, we will not be talking because of this particular issue. But I think the people around, let me chip this one in. We were 4. When it happened, I told you. You were the first person I told. And you said, oh, the approach was bad. That was the only word you said.
The approach from who?
From my friend was bad. That was the only thing you said. And then after some time, you came to ask me, another female friend came to ask me, and then I narrated the thing. The fire lit. It was bad.
Your emotions got reignited.
No. My emotions didn't. Let me be very honest. The incident didn't bother me. Not for once. The only place that I found, like, I took offense was after 3 years.
Don't tell my husband.
Oh, don't tell my wife, Nidia. Now you can call me. Don't tell my wife. I won't mind. The people that were around, when I told them the thing, they went to her side.
Okay, so you expected the rest of the friends to handle the issue better.
And deal
they could have
with
done
it.
better.
They could.
Okay,
They could.
So I think maybe Brother Dennis would have much more insight. But, there's been several times I think we all go through this. And personally, those who are close to me, they know. I don't live my life I don't live my life to let's say, suit or make
these people.
Like Lillian at least knows. Like, be you. You shouldn't expect your other friends.
Hey Ben, if you know me.
Oh no, listen. You shouldn't expect your other friends to be on your side. Just communicate. You had yourself and your husband on this. And thank God, for me, I think your husband played a very positive role
in
did. This. You get it. I don't know the details of the story, but
he did well.
You understand? So you shouldn't expect your other friends to allow them. The most important thing is you have you and your husband in that ship. Concentrate, focus.
I allowed them. I allowed them. And then when they were friends, when people see them and they ask of me, the response I get. That was what was interesting about it.
Evan, I think that it's normal. We are humans.
Yes.
They are friends. And then if something happens, you expect that the other friends will call for a meeting to address the issue.
So
that the friendship can go on.
But the reason why I take exception to okay, of course, we all have our
We are ladies.
difference.
The way we handle issues is not like the way you guys handle issues.
I take
no, but I think there's best practice for everyone.
It's for everyone. I have a way of relating to people based on, again, what I've also been through. Let's say if the four of us are friends, and let's say all of a sudden, Selena and Dennis are not in talking terms. That is your business.
No.
Wait,
that is the problem we are facing in recent years.
Wait.
It shouldn't.
I don't think that is what you should be.
No, Selena, you're not getting me. We are all in the same ship together, right? We will do our best to solve, possible best to solve the issue.
Do that best before.
No, wait.
Before you conclude that it is our business.
There's what I'm saying. It is not our business, as in getting into the nitty-gritty or the details of it. Is as humans, let's say I offend Lillian and I'm coming to report to you. I will not come and say, okay, Lillian, Selena, this and this is what I did to Lillian, for Lillian to react this way towards me, and for that reason our relationship is in jeopardy or whatever. I will come narrate it in a way that you will find favor from my side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in attempting to solve that issue, I might end up becoming the third person.
Yeah.
Or the
You
bad
think
one.
so?
Oh yeah, as I'm being real here. And again,
He has a
Brother
point.
Dennis, you can come. I'm being real here. Now reasoning with logic and principles. You get it. So for me, I always try to sit on the fence. If let's say we are friends and tomorrow the two of you are not
Yeah.
talking, I will try and get your understanding, get Dennis' understanding. Try to sit both of you down. No playing the blame game. Bring the two of you together. But as humans, I'm just trying to let us reason or see reason from, let's say, let's put God aside. Let's be real. Reason
No, but
with
you cannot
logic.
be real without God in the
Without
picture.
God in it. God is a reality.
Fine. You get it. So let's be sincere to ourselves. Let's be real and address issues as they're supposed to, without bringing. We are discussing emotions. As humans, we always bring in feelings and emotions, and we always let our emotions take the very part of us without being truthful to whatever we are trying to communicate.
That
You get
is
it?
one of the issues. When we are friends, let's relate it to that, because it's happening in our daily lives, in our institution, every institution, it keeps happening. If I have a problem with Osofo,
Again.
if I have a problem with Osofo, and Lillian is also part of the friend, like the cycle, and Lillian gets to know that there is something going on, Lillian is supposed to, for the sake of peace and for the friendship to go on, Lillian is supposed to ask what is happening.
Okay, so in this case, okay, let me give a practical scenario. I had these friends I hang around with, and I relate to. We are in a group, and I have personal relationship with all of them as well. So, things happen, like people forming groups in a group, like who are favorites and all that.
Yeah.
Friends among friends.
So there were this other group in the group who communicate and they do things. Now, I wasn't privy to whatever they were doing.
Okay.
You get it? They had issues. They had problems, very serious. And I wasn't aware. Now, one lady in the group, thinking I'm that close to Dennis, and of course, I was very close to Dennis. We communicate, we do everything. Dennis is always in my house. Yeah. We are always around. Wherever you find him, concerning regards to the group, you will see me. So you called me, you were like, this is what Dennis has done, blah, blah. I tried stopping you to let you know that I don't know what is happening. So it's better you sort it out with Dennis. And you were like, oh, no, okay. And you ended up spelling out what I'm not supposed to know. You understand? So there are issues that I feel and think that we should apply. We shouldn't let emotions take the very good part of us.
That is where maturity comes in.
It
takes a matured mind not to go over the board.
So that is where I'm coming with my point. Like, we all have our faith or our belief systems and all that. We should be real and sincere to ourselves in our relationship with each other.
Talking about faith and emotions, let's use Job. I don't know. After Job lost all
everything,
I'm sure Job got emotional.
He's human.
But
he was emotional.
He made sure he didn't offend God.
Exactly.
And I think that's where we should draw the line. You can get angry, you can get, sad, hurt, whatever, but you don't cross a certain line.
Yes, with God. Yeah.
Because
Not
what
only
didn't
God.
his wife
with
say?
man, yeah.
With God, and even with man. I think that there are certain lines we shouldn't cross.
Yeah.
Because what didn't his friends and wives say? Curse God
And die.
If not for the faith he had.
I think I side with Lillian because Now let's me bring in this practical story as well. Lillian can relate.
No, but before you go there, I think what I wanted to say about her situation in terms of the friendship and all that is, it's a bit tricky because you have, in the group you have alliances anyway.
Yeah.
It could be, once there are more than 2 people in the group, definitely there'll be preferences and all that. You see, that's why I was even raising the issue about the letting it go part. Because if you say all your friends sided with her, with the person that you had issues with, is it their reaction to that single incident?
Or
there is sort of another group within the group that was already existing?
No, there was no group within the group.
No, let me finish. So what I'm saying is that, you can have issues with people and you all belong to the same group. And I know sometimes it's a bit difficult to handle, especially if you are not able to regulate your emotions. Because I might have issues with you. And then maybe, so right now, for example, the 4 of us here, if I had issues with you and we're going to do this today, as it is now, I can't let that be a problem for me. Because
it has nothing to do with
this. Still needs to be done, 1. And 2, whatever it is, I know that yes, that issue will be resolved. So don't destroy their friendship because of that issue I have with you now, which I know with time we will solve anyway. Fine. There's a point where maybe I might have to limit my relationship with you to a certain degree because of what I've experienced and seeing that maybe you might not change and all that. So the dynamics in the group, so the group might still exist, but the dynamics might still be a bit different. So it might seem that they've taken the side of the other person and all that. The other thing is you don't know the dynamics that the person also told them. You don't know what they told them and what they also heard and all that. So it's a bit funny. Exactly. And that's why I tell people that just give it time. Sometimes whatever it is that the missing part will fall in place for you to get the whole dynamics. The good thing about this was that it didn't end badly. In the sense that right now I don't even know what motivated her to say don't tell your husband. It could be different things. It could be for a positive reason, not necessarily a bad one.
And it could be a bad one.
And of course, definitely. But you see, we are in a situation where we don't know. So then how we handle it is also important because it could be that your initial thoughts or not even thought, not the approach, the thinking. Because one of the things is our assumptions about things also determines how we react. So that's one of the things about handling emotions because I'm feeling angry right now. So I tell people that if you're angry, one of the first questions you ask yourself is, why are you angry? Because if you search deep into that, you realize that even probably you shouldn't be angry in the first place. Or the person you should be angry at is yourself. So like the driving situation, for example, if there was any point that you were asking, at that point, you'll be like, so now, but if you're not careful, you might say that the person that you were going to or whoever you were going to was calling you, so they made you rush and they ended up passing there. But you took the decision that I want to pass this place because it's a shortcut. So the thought process behind our emotions too is very important. If you have like the situation where her mom died and she'll feel pain and all that, but in a certain instance it's something that she reached for because so one option is for her to exit, but that exit also counts with pain, and that pain is not necessarily because God answered your prayers, but because you don't see your mother again. But then the light in there is the fact that when she was here, she was suffering. So if you let her go, it's better. So all that, so in that single instance where you are low and feeling these different degrees of emotions and all that, if you are able to think about the event or what is triggering the event, you might see that there's some positivity in there, or you might not have looked at it a certain way. So yes, there seems to have been some taking of sides and all that, but I think it's probably because the full picture has not been exposed to.
I think
to everyone.
That side we are not, let me put it this way. When I told the other two, I don't know whatever discussion went on, like you said. But my expectation was we will meet and discuss whatever it is and move on. Because that was not a way of losing friends to me. And there was a pause. Nobody communicated again.
So now you have learned not to expect.
3 years ago. So then, no, the whole thing was, I think I got attached. There is this thing, attachment. When you get attached to things or people, that is what happens to you. So during that time, I was learning to detach myself. In order not to offend anybody again, I decided to walk away.
So I think, in as much as you're doing the right thing, or I might have I think you were too emotionally attached.
That was my problem.
Yeah.
I was too attached to them.
And you had high expectations. Too.
Yeah.
Too much expectation,
Yeah.
because I felt, seriously, let's be frank, sometimes the families that we even come from are not even enough like the ones we have created. We create certain kind of family that you think you can fall on, you think you can rely on. That is when the attachment. Yes. So that is where the hurt comes from for me. But maybe then I might have exposed too much of myself to them. So when those things came, it really did the damage. That is how come attachments, when you are dealing with emotions, you really, really, really need to work on that. I read a book that said, don't get attached no matter what.
Yeah, I would disagree with you.
Don't get attached no matter what. It was talking about dealing with emotions. That particular book was about how to plan your life. That is the title
so I
of
think
the book.
How do you not get attached to people you see every day?
No,
with people you are with all the
in
time.
order not to be hurt, don't get attached.
But if you're not careful, you become very artificial.
No, you won't be artificial. Right now, we have artificial intelligence in our system.
We'll plan another session on this. I think we will discuss.
I think there should be this topic on betrayals and attachments. We really need that.
We will discuss it with the production team, and I think
still concerning faith and emotions. Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Was there no faith? Because I know there was a promise. There was a promise that a child will come, or a son will come, or whatever. So, when Sarah advised the husband to go for Hagar, she was, please correct me if I'm wrong. She advised the husband to go for Hagar, right? Has she lost her faith?
I would say there was still faith, but the belief was what was, I think, was wavering.
There was no faith. If there was faith,
Abraham had faith in God.
That is Abraham. We are talking about Sarah.
You are talking about Sarah
to
Hagar.
Both of them. Not
yes, Abraham had faith in God.
If Abraham still had faith, he wouldn't have gone on with what the wife suggested.
Abraham had faith.
Oh, Abraham, he had faith that he was going to give birth.
Yeah, but he still listened to his wife.
Yes.
Thank you.
But he's a human being.
So, exactly my point. So, I'm just trying to say that I think, no matter what, at a point, your faith wavers.
Yeah, it does.
Because how old were they? Abraham was what, 100 or 99 years?
90 something.
And Sarah was 90 years.
I think we have to go to Sunday school.
Yeah, I think the Abraham situation was sort of an anxiety type of thing. So yes, there was a promise of he having a whole generation that was going to inherit the land that God had given him and all that. But then, you see, when you are not emotionally regulated, when you are not able to regulate your emotions, you end up having so anxiety can set in. Because anxiety deals with what is going to happen in the future. So it's like we are here, we said that, or they said that we are going to have this, and then it's supposed to come at 2 o'clock. And it's 1:30. The thing has not come. You start getting jittery.
Yeah.
And if you are not careful, That's where the faith comes. If your faith is not very strong, because Abraham demonstrated in instances where his faith was wavering, because when he went to Egypt, for example, he lied about his wife and all that. He didn't really have that trust in God and said, that was my sister. So, yes, generally we say he was a great man of faith. And I think the demonstration was leaving his land, following God. And when God asked him to sacrifice his son, he did that. But he didn't prove to have had it 24/7, which is normal, because depending on circumstances, you can shake along the line. So there was an anxiety issue there about what was expected or what was going to happen. Looking at age, not seeing any sign and all that, that led to desperation. So even though he was a man of faith, I say generally, the regulation of the anxiety led him to do something that he shouldn't have done.
Okay, so in running up and concluding on this session, I would want to share a personal life story or experience, which is in turn a question.
I'm so interested. By the way, let me ask, how did you end driving? Like the driving?
Okay, so actually, on that, the route I took was actually short. But because it was my first time and me not knowing my way through, I was just winding around the bush, and it was so now that is the route I always use when I'm going to the north.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, I think driving from Tema to Accra to north, it should take 13 to 15 hours. Yes, but I use like 6 hours using that route, which is very short and
very short.
Oh, nice.
half
because you don't go through Kumasi, Sunyani. You cut all those stretches off. So I think right from after Nkoko, so before you get to I think Ejeso Anita Hotel, you branch using the Bonre Ejura stretch. So you just go there, you get off on the is it Kintampo Temale road right there. So you branch on your left, 1 hour drive to Temale, you are there. So apparently that was my first time, so I really spent almost,
and the bush was also confusing.
Was confusing, exactly. And the roads were also very good. So like I was just driving around.
You were even lucky your fuel didn't get.
That was one of the frustrations. I was really afraid. You don't know where I was going. You not get to see anyone, and you see people trying to stop them. They are afraid to talk to you and all that. So apparently it helped.
Did you have all these beards then? Maybe they
kinda
were scared of.
All right. So in conclusion, there was this time I was living with a pastor and members of the church. I think one man and the wife, their son was very sick to the point of death, and I want to get this response from all of us in trying to test our faith and believe in God, so as it may be, let's say, in man or whatever. So they rushed this child to the house to see the pastor, and the pastor had left to go and pray. He wasn't around. So I told them that, okay, the man is not around. They should take the child to the hospital. When the man comes, I will inform him and he will follow up. They did not listen. They stayed till the man came. And when the pastor came, he was very furious, very mad at what they did, and he sacked them. He did not pray for them. If it were to be asked, what will we do? On what ground?
On what? Yeah.
The pastor sacked me and my sick child.
Okay, so the scenario or the truth.
That is the reality of it.
We are speaking. We are discussing faith and belief as to
faith and beliefs
in relation
to.
You get it? So the pastor was like I told them, the man of God is not around. Or let's say, Brother Dennis is a doctor. I'm sick. You rush me to him to take care of me. He's not around. He's indisposed. He's traveled out. Are you saying, and Lillian is an option, like another doctor? Are you saying because we are used, or Brother Dennis is our doctor, you let me stay there till I die or something worse happens, or you rush me to Lillian as an option? Because I from my side, I believed, or I thought that the man of God, it's good they had faith in Christ or in the man of God to pray for them, for their son to be healed. But at that point, the man was not around. And they should rush there.
So why didn't you start the prayers?
I get it, but I was young then.
Trust me.
I was young then.
If he had started the prayers, they wouldn't have even had faith.
He's
not the one.
I'm not the exactly. I wasn't the one.
Still,
they could have also prayed.
He's also living.
Why didn't they
pray
pray?
for their
Yes.
child?
Why didn't they also pray?
I won't mention this church's name, but there was a church that came up at a certain time. They are still in existence though. And at the time they came, they were like, I am unsickable, I am untouchable, I am unshakable, I am on this. Everything they are on in it. And you are sick and then they tell you to stop taking your drugs. You have BP and they tell you to stop. You have diabetes and they tell you to stop taking your drugs. And a lot of people got sick. I personally, knew people at the time who later got sick or whatever sickness they had worsened because they stopped their medication. Faith is faith, but you don't have to be stupid about it.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
No, there is no excuse.
Doctors, even there are some doctors that when you go to, they pray before they even take care of you. So you are sick doesn't mean that you should stay. Why do you is your pastor a doctor?
My bishop, my current bishop sometimes shares on the pulpit that sometimes he works very hard, like taking the church through a lot of programs the whole week, preaching and taking Sunday. So he said sometimes, at times he felt very weak and sick with headache and all that. And he said even he being a bishop sometimes forgets that he's a man of God. So like, okay, I need to take para or something. Sometimes he takes it the first day, third, second day, and he goes like, no, I think I'm forgetting something. And he makes that faith declaration and he's okay. So I think
people are not reading the Bible, studying the Bible for themselves. Actually. They are just listening to what preachers
Sometimes say. It's not them, it's their programming. Perhaps they might have heard that when the man of God speaks, that's in that.
So is their belief in God or that man?
They believe in God through that man. It's not their fault.
And is it a good thing?
It can be good. It can be bad. Because if Osofo here can...
Let's I think I'll sit over there.
Should I not keep If Osofo here, I know he has a healing ministry. Like he has the gift of healing. He can pray for people to get healed. I prefer going to him when I feel like I fall sick
than going to the
hospital in the name of faith, trusting God through him. That is one aspect of the whole thing. So if it's worse than he thinks that particular moment, maybe the person needs just some drips to get well. Maybe the person is just dehydrated or something. The prayers or even the faith for you to come to him has already been answered. That is why they said it is the evidence of things not seen,
but
hoped for.
My challenge, maybe I stand to be corrected anyway, it's the fact that I believe you should have faith and believe in God, not in man.
No, he is not in the man.
Common sense should tell you that take the child to the hospital first and then call the pastor.
If the pastor had called, if you had called the pastor then, and the pastor had told them, take the child to the hospital, I'm coming, they would have done it.
And you got there, the man of God is not there.
So when I asked you why you didn't start praying, Lillian said
no,
they
I was
believed
one.
in the
I
man.
was young then.
You were young then.
I wasn't thinking
anyway.
in that line. One. Two,
but
of course, I wasn't the pastor. They would not.
It's not you they came to. They would not have believed in your prayers.
In my prayers.
But once you are living in the pastor's house, you automatically have some portion of the anointing.
Selena, your understanding too.
That is my even the
that
building.
That is what I'm about saying. Your understanding too.
But I think the other thing is, so fine, they brought the child there. The pastor's reaction, if you ask me, is fine. He was angry probably at them or stuff like that because it seemed irresponsible to do. Because what if he had traveled? Exactly. What if he was not around?
What if the child had died?
What if the child had
died?
Because
that was his concern.
And what would you have said? That what? God has disappointed you.
Yes.
Now
you blame God. Meanwhile, God doesn't know anything about it.
They were not fine. They were not an emotionally stable place. Yes, but then I think I understand the pastor's reaction because you had options. It's not the prayers alone is not enough to do that. Of course, when people are anxious and in a chaotic framework of mind, sometimes they don't think straight. So you can be like, okay, so it's the all kind of community because it's like
problem, like
where and that's where you also have to manage
the anger,
your emotions, because like what you said, if they really sat down and thought through it, they would have thought that yes, going to the hospital. Because the pastor himself, he goes to the hospital. So if he's not there and they are saying go to the hospital, but because of the state that you are in, you are not able to figure it out and see that as a good option. Because sometimes we allow I'm trying not to shift to faith alone. I want to focus on the emotional bit as well. Because sometimes also we are so certain of certain things that everything else seems to put us off. So it's like when they came in and you were saying that the pastor was going to go to hospital, their mind is, the faith is that when the pastor comes, this issue will go away.
Get healed.
So they're all coming there. You are annoying them because stop what you're saying. That's not what they came there for. And because of the situation they were in, and they were not able to think straight. So what I'll end with on this section is that, yes, it's true that we have faith. It's supposed to guide us, have a regulated life and all that. But then we should also know that it is not everything that, I'm trying to find a nice way of putting this, that God works in different ways. You even going to the hospital for them to give you paracetamol to take is also a sign of God's provision for you. Yeah. Because if the person who discovered paracetamol did not discover it,
thank you,
what would you have done? If the people who are able to do cesarean sections for pregnant mothers who have difficult pregnancies, what would have happened then? So is it that because it was not
a natural birth?
It was not that the pastor said, I'll go and have natural birth, and he went and came back. Yeah. So, and it was cesarean, so, and God is not there or what. So we need to exercise it in the right context so that we are, because if the pastor had come to pray and the child didn't get healed, that one can be angry with the pastor. That and stuff like that.
To add up to what he said, sometimes you go to church, and for those of us who do things in church, you realize that people actually have faith in the man of God. Trust me. That is why I said we should study the Bible for ourselves. People have faith in the man. They don't even know what the Bible talks about. Most Christians don't even know what the Bible talks about. All they know is that Osofo said, Minye say, pastor says I should do this. So even if what the pastor is saying is wrong, they don't even know.
I think that is very dangerous.
It's dangerous. That is why he said, study to show yourself approved. But we are not. We are not. This morning I was listening to GTV before I came here, and then I was watching GTV, and then they were talking about certain scandal in a certain church, not to mention any church's name. And then one brother called in and said, the sister went to a certain church, and then they asked her to put sand in water and drink every morning. Sand in water. So, Obi saying, if this person had been studying the Bible, you think that he or she would do that? No. You go to church and then you tell people to raise their hands and they won't do it. Let the pastor come and say, raise your hands. And everybody will raise their hands. So it tells you how much people have faith in men than God. They feel like it's the man who will do it. They don't think that it's God that works through the man. So the person I should have faith in is God. Because whatever happens or whatever will happen through the man of God will be authorization from God. Because if God doesn't authorize it, trust me, nothing can happen. People come to church and they're like, oh, I thank God that when I went to give birth, I didn't do cesarean section. So what are you trying to tell the person who did cesarean section?
That she didn't have
her birth was
artificial.
No, God was not on her side.
So as for faith, it's about studying the Bible and then knowing it for yourself.
Let me throw this question to you, Lillian. Maybe all of us can attempt to answer it. Do God really work through that miracle thing? Drinking sand in water or whatever?
I don't believe really in those ones.
Work in those things?
I think you are moving us away from the emotions.
I know, right?
No, like just like a few seconds. Not to elaborate.
No, let's just leave that one for the other section.
Well, I have this that whatever you believe in works for you.
Yeah.
So whatever you believe in works for you. But of the things, common sense. You should know that if you are drinking sand, you will get sick. How is sand going to heal you?
Sea sand.
I don't even know what kind of sand.
It wasn't specified.
I'm only asking.
So it could be any sand.
I mean, there are some things that no matter who you are, if you tell me to do, I will not do it. Some of the directions are biblical. Even when you go to the Bible, it's there.
I can't even follow
your common sense should tell you that this thing is not right.
Anyways, please, in conclusion to this emotion thing, I have jotted down
before you go, I think we should just, because like in my last time I was like we should round up. So in conclusion, let's have like a minute each to just sum up all that we've discussed.
Okay. I want to talk about emotional management.
Okay.
Managing your emotions. One thing you should realize is it is not easy being in that state. And in that state, we expect a lot from people. But I think each and every one of us sitting here, we have our own issues before we came even to discuss this thing. I have learned over the years that when it comes to emotions, people are just not there for you. It's you. Unless you talk about it before somebody can help. Sometimes we need to talk about it, especially to people you think can listen. Maybe Osofo is a counselor as well, and you can get a counselor. Let's not always think God has forsaken us in that state. And I think as a human being or as a person, you yourself, you are responsible for yourself, aside being taken care of by God or the people around you. There are these regulations that govern every institution. When you are crossing the road, they said, look left, look right before you cross. You can't just jump and say, because I'm a child of God, I can cross the road anyhow I want. Let's just respect ourselves. And one thing I think we've not mentioned is self-love. In the midst of all these things, it's about self-love, self-respect, how you value yourself, how you are able to carry yourself in those states. Some are easy, like the first one I spoke about. Accept the situation, have control over it. It's not easy, but there is. If you go to your Bible, if you talk to counselors, people will give you few ideas of how they were able to deal with some of those issues. Let's not always keep mute over it. Let's not bottle it up. And now, the way when somebody say, oh, Osofo Dennis, I have this secret, keep it for me. Tomorrow you will hear it somewhere. And it's not helping us. It's happening within us. Within us, in our churches. It's so difficult. Sometimes you talk to your pastor, the next moment he's preaching about the thing. It's already traumatizing going through that and opening up to someone, and the person will come out and be saying it to others. Let's learn to keep people's issues secrets for them. Let's not poke our noses until the person comes to confide in you. Until you hear the other side of the story. Don't conclude on people's lives. Don't conclude on your own self. Even if you have to blame yourself to get healed. Get out of that difficult situation. Whoever is watching or listening, don't think it is over. It is never over. Until death, it is never over. Life, there are opportunities all over us. We can get wherever we want to get to. We can do everything we think we can do in life if we put our minds and then we keep trusting God for that. Thank you.
I think before I get your final conclusions, I think that was what I was trying to communicate earlier. It's an individual thing. Like, I personally have personal relationship with people. And let's say if I'm cool with Lillian and tomorrow we are no more, me, that I know, ages. So now, whatever experience we have dies with me. This is me. And you will never get to hear me or like get me discussing someone.
It's a good thing.
I'm the type that if you start, let's say, Lillian comes discussing, I would tell him, Selena, tell him how. And if I'm not interested, I'll immediately tell you, oh, wait, let's call Selena. I'm that type. Or if I'm not interested, I will just tell you that, oh, Charlie, you're in trouble. Because I don't want to encourage discussing that. You get it? So I think it's an individual thing that as individuals we should inculcate. Like it should be a behavior that we should, yes, because you can't force someone to be who he is not. There are some people, trust me, when you discuss, you will not live in Puna, you get it, and you'll be an person. 2013, I used to work with a company, I will not mention the name, and I think that company really made me, because my boss believed in me and has really exposed me. There were a couple of times, I think during my probation period, the 6 months, I was sitting in my boss's chair whilst he was sitting at the other side working. So people felt offended in that arena. And I go for meetings for my boss. Sometimes leaving the office, tomorrow go meet this person, blah, blah. I'll be there, someone will go sit in front of me, Eben in bar office on Bejuma. When they can, you sending me a message. Do you have issues with Lillian? He's sitting in front of me. She's sitting. And who can you not be? All the questions he's asking me, he will ask you, do you have issues with the guy? Are you sure? Maybe you deny. And whenever he sent me that, I always go like, when I come to the office with this guy, immediately I come to the office, I was sitting in front and I say, call the person.
Wow.
And they always look in quotes, foolish and stupid in front of the man. So as humans, we should all know that you'll be an person. Whatever you do, people find faults. But what makes us better is you being sincere and truthful to whoever you are dealing with. That is a very good legacy, positive legacy we have to leave behind as humans. You get it? So it's a phase of life you'll go through. Right, Dennis, your concluding statement.
To wrap up, I will just say that, we have positive emotions, we have negative ones. The negative ones come about from several things. Either our expectations of people, the relationships we have, and even our ability to regulate ourselves as well. So what you need to do in handling them is you need to, some of them are a bit difficult to process. Like if you are depressed, for example, if you are depressed, if you have anxiety, if you have anger problems and those things, sometimes it's difficult to regulate. But the key thing is that learn how to identify whatever it is that you're feeling. If you know what you are feeling, because sometimes it might look like anger, but it's probably not anger. People out of fear will behave as if they are angry because that is how they are coping with the situation. People who are anxious also behave in a way that, not that they are anxious, but it looks like something else. So if you are able to identify what is happening to you, so whenever you have experiences with people, or have exchanges with people, or you are going through certain low moments, it's important to identify what is really happening to you. You need to question yourself and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What is causing this? And in doing that, you might get to fully understand or even come up with questions that you need answering. And some of the thoughts that come to you, sometimes it's important to put those thoughts. We call something putting your thought on trial. So it's like you are interrogating that thought that you are having, and you are interrogating it as if you are in court. So it's like you are doing defense lawyer and then the prosecutor. So that when you are able to weigh the thought fully, sometimes by the time you are done, you realize that, it's not even a serious thing that I was even bothering myself about. So you can put your thoughts on trial. You can also talk to someone that you trust. I know, like she said, sometimes speaking to some people, I hear Danny preaching point, but you need to find people that you can trust and then speak to those people. You need a support system. None of us can survive without one. And people who are emotionally regulated, they actually have support systems. When you look at children who are able to handle themselves, if you go and look into their homes, you realize that, yes, they were surrounded by well-meaning adults who gave them opportunities to express themselves. Because if you are suppressed from expressing your emotions also, you walk around bottling everything inside, and then you become a bomb waiting to explode. Like, I don't know, you didn't tell us how your husband reacts to if he gets angry or not, or if he gets angry, how he behaves, but you don't have to say it. But you realize that when people bottle things in, Sometimes there is like you have a whole bomb and it's like a big balloon and it's a small needle that will cause it to explode. Simply, and the thing that is causing you to explode, is not even important.
Yeah.
But because you have
But
and then but if the balloon is actually flat, it's not bobbed up, and you put the needle inside, that will happen. So we need to learn to regulate, learn to talk to people, learn to also calm ourselves down. But sometimes when you are in a tense situation, you tend to overreact. So I tell people, if you're angry and you know that you might say things or do things, don't take a decision at that point. And you just say, okay, let's talk about this thing later. And then move away and look for a healthy time or a better time when you have calmed down before you talk to the person. Or if you like, I tell people that you can write a letter to the person. And then when you finish, you yourself read the letter after 2 hours and see if you really want to send a letter to the person. You see that here, and then you put away. So these are some of the things that you can do. You can look for relaxation techniques as well, so that you are able to calm down. Sometimes breathing in, regulated breathing. So it's like you are in a tense situation. Like sometimes they think can overwhelm you such that if you cry, you can't even control yourself. Like you can't even breathe. So you do regulated breathing. So you can breathe in and then you hold it. You count to 4, then you release it, and then you count to 4, and then you do it again. So that sort of helps you calm down so that you don't lose control of yourself. And lastly, too, I'll just say, because we are people of faith, to learn to yield to the leading of God, so that you would be able to manage. Because sometimes when you're angry, you remember Bible verses that don't get angry, don't do this is a sin.
We don't remember them.
Oh, sometimes you do. Sometimes, occasionally, a flash
ignore a flash.
But you say, Charlie.
Wait until you pick a trotro and a mate makes you angry.
And the mate, and you're driving and somebody crosses you.
Yes. That thing is crazy.
But if it's a gradual thing with time, you get to master it.
Yeah.
You might miss it a few sometime, but keep reminding yourself you'll be able to do it.
I think with all that you said, Dennis, I'm very much interested and happy with the interrogating your thoughts thing. Because I keep telling people to be sincere and truthful to yourself when addressing issues or trying to communicate something. Look out for the bad side, the good side. Merge them together and look for a common ground. That only you would be sincere in your quest to addressing that thing. So as you wouldn't, because as humans, let's say, Selena Akande, she's right, Lillian is not right. You don't want to offend. Telling Lillian she is wrong, she will be offended. Letting Lillian know Selena is right, maybe she will be offended not only in me, but also in Selena. So play the devil's advocate. Merge the two, look out for a common ground, communicate the right thing. Let this person, we want you. I think it's the next time. In a very nice way. So I think I'm very interested in that. I think if we all, as humans, always interrogate our thoughts.
Why should I get angry as yes, also?
We always have to interrogate our thoughts. Writing to ourselves that letter, I think it's very important. Reading it out. No, it's true. It's true.
You know, sometimes you are angry at people when you pick a phone to send them text message, tell them your mind. What type is what paper? You know, it happens.
It happens.
So I think, you are looking for the right.
That letter thing,
it really works.
I am personally learning. I'm learning. I've learned a lot from that.
And when I get angry, I think I would rather.
Sometimes you
think of writing. After reading, you know that no, Charlie, I won't hear.
And sometimes ask, is the person even worth it?
No, I think I can relate. Brethren, God bless you, because this past week I've been having issues with some people around me, and I think before I started deleting, I've drafted a lot of text messages out. But I think maybe I just looked at it. I just deleted it. So it's good we write out to ourselves that letter before it helps us a lot, because maybe, like you said, at that heated moment, the brain is not thinking right.
The way I curse, yes. I'm sure if I had written down the curse.
Exactly.
You see
read them
that as
before,
a Christian, it's
I would
not
know
right.
that if this case was coming to me,
We will say no.
I wouldn't accept them.
Wrong location.
Only to go and do 1 week fasting and prayers to.
Yeah.
Maybe the person also said back to sender.
Okay, Lillian, your concluding statement.
I will say that. I'll say it again. Study the Bible for yourself. Men of God are men before the God comes in. Study the Bible for yourself. Apply faith, yes. Apply faith in everything. Don't give up. Life has its ups and downs. We all go through things. Don't see people today living a good life and think that they had it on a silver platter. No.
Didn't.
It's only fraudsters. Even they don't have it on a silver platter. Mm-hmm. The kind of lies they have to cook up and all that before they get what they want. So have faith. Know that there is nothing impossible for God. And then, live right. Do right by yourself. Do right by others. And leave the rest to God.
Life is not as we see it. Sometimes you want things to happen now, but maybe it's not the will of God. And again, linking it to what we've discussed, we shouldn't let our emotions take the very best part of us. God's timing is not our timing. God's ways is not our ways. We always have to have patience and believe and trust in God that in His own time He will make things beautiful for us in our individual ways.
Sure.
Thank you very much once again for joining us on the GOB3 show. That is God over broken emotions here on Caris TV. See you next time as we delve into other interesting stories on our next episode. Thank you. Bye-bye.